Greetings, May 6th, 2026. This is the auditory version or podcast version of my Substack newsletter, Extraordinary Women. What is the definition of a cosmopolitan woman? Nothing reminds us that the world continues to spin better than meeting people from different places on the globe. A fascinating benefit along my recent journey is meeting brilliant and extraordinary people. Are they compelling because of where they live and where they have come from? As I travel, I wonder who built each village and inhabited the rooms we enjoy for a short time. Collective wisdom seems to ooze from the ancient stone structures. My journey to a small village in Provence began with an application to an artist residency. I have painted all of my life, but this will be a new experience, and I jumped at the opportunity. I began in Paris to revisit what is often considered the most beautiful city in the world, and to visit friends I have made on previous visits. As I scheduled coffees and meetups, I reminded myself that one of the best things to do, especially in Paris, is to wander aimlessly to see what one finds. Never a disappointment. I travel lightly, and I brought the minimum of art supplies. I sketch along the way, and I ordered paint, paper, and canvas to arrive in Provence when I did. Enjoy happy encounters along the way. Serendipity is a gift. Be open to choices it can present. Each random conversation can lead to something more, or something simply be a moment to learn a little bit more about a place, art form, tidbit of history, or, most importantly, yourself. When I sketch, people often open a conversation. One woman with a fascinating career dropped her card in my lap. Others will talk to me at cafes, glimpsing my sketch pad on the table. I have also sought out opportunities to meet women whom I discovered through a podcast or a mutual friend. On this trip, I met with authors, people who share my passion for France, and other artists. There is no one definition of cosmopolitan woman. The cosmopolitan woman I have met in France. However, she is often older, not always, and a variety of experiences have connected her to the city of light or the French countryside. She may have been married to a Frenchman for decades or have lived here in her youth, returning often. Her career may have led her to France, although the words cosmopolitan and sophistication come to mind. It's more than this. She has learned from her experiences and has developed an appreciation for individuals that have informed a place, colors, tastes, and sounds, history, and culture. She has a story to share. As I write, I have just arrived at my residency, La Maison de Beaumont, and I have begun gathering inspiration, meeting other residents, and finally painting. I know that the experiences I've had thus far will be a part of my creative voice, and before I move forward, I want to record these thoughts and introduce you to some of the women I have met. Some have a public persona and others are more private. Marilo M. I met Marilo, and her Instagram is at Marilo Martin Creatrice on Instagram last summer at an exposition in Paris, and I have wanted one of her scarves ever since. I visited her one Sunday morning. Murillo was interviewed by Crystal Kinney on La Vie Creative. And if you look at my uh, Substack newsletter, it's got photos of everything I'm talking about and links to people, uh, podcasts, and such. Murillo was interviewed by Crystal Kinney on La Vie Creative podcast. Just this week, I met a painter who lives in Pertuis de Beaumont. And I'm going to confess right here, my French is so bad, I have been calling this place Purdius. When I heard it pronounced Pertuis on the train, it clicked. At any rate, I met a lovely woman, Jocelyn Morawek, and as I walked, I saw a small sign in a studio window that said Open Studio or Atelier Ouvert. Uh, and as I paused, a woman beckoned me inside. I don't speak French, but we managed, and she had a friend there to help. Her delicate work was inside, paintings and prints made using real plants. She explained to me how to make an anthotype using turmeric and asked if I would like to borrow a book. I'm a perfect stranger. I did borrow the book, and she simply had me write down my name and email. The book explains how to make prints using herbs and natural processes. My mother used to make amazing dried flower bouquets, and I was drawn to these. Another fascinating woman. I met Gina in Paris after a Ukrainian soloist performed at the American Church in Paris several years ago. On this visit, she took me to a unique performance of Othello, written and performed by one actor from the viewpoint of the villain, Iago. This was in a tiny theater, medieval space, underground, in the middle of the Marais. It was a wonderful experience. Gina has lived in Paris for 2 decades and can share much about her perspectives as a U.S. expat. Janet Skeslian Charles. I have enjoyed the novels of Janet Skeslian Charles about the American Library in Paris, which I visited a couple of times, which also she worked as a librarian when she first arrived in Paris. Her work is beautifully written and historically enlightening. Her work, she weaves the present and the past, the U.S. and France into her novels, and I highly recommend The Paris Library, Miss Morgan's Book Brigade, and The Parisian Chapter, her latest. The audio version to this third novel was published last year and is narrated by Pauline Chamalet, whose brother Timothy you may know. Last year I met Janet and her husband, and this year we met for coffee, first at the Red Wheelbarrow, a bookstore featuring works in English, and then with Harriet Welty Rochefort, whom I had met the day before. What fun to listen to two authors who have written novels in English about events during World War II in France. The two are good friends and shared anecdotes and experiences about writing and selling their work. I was honored to spend time with both of them. And do look at my Substack letter if you get a chance for the photos. Harriet Welty Rochefort. I was invited to Harriet's home in a less central arrondissement in Paris. Her first three humorous books about life with a French husband in Paris were groundbreaking in the field of personal memoir by an American author married to a French man. Her most recent book, Final Transgression, is a serious novel about World War II and shares a bit of her husband's family story. Harriet truly is an illustrious author and a serious journalist. Recently, she began a Substack newsletter, Harriet in Paris, and she will be on staff with a new venture on Substack at Reporting from Paris, substack.com. Last year, while visiting the Red Wheelbarrow bookstore, I asked about her books, and the owner asked if I were her sister and said I looked a little bit like her. When I told this to Harriet, she said, "We must get together and take a picture." We did. And even her husband agreed there was a little resemblance. I'm honored. Here is her interview, or there is an interview with her by Crystal Kenny, and I included the link in my newsletter. Barbara Lambesis. There is no doubt I have met some very interesting and fun people. Barbara, who attended my little birthday gathering last year and has become a friend, is the president of the Wallace Fountain Society. The mission of the society, she is a fountain of information herself. I think I've told the story numerous times of how we met. I was painting the Wallace Fountain, and she dropped her card in my lap. And even more remarkable is she was on her way to the Senate building to receive an award on behalf of the foundation from Brigitte Macron. And I've got a picture of her in my newsletter. I know my trip will continue to lead me to fascinating people, and I so appreciate their sharing wisdom, expertise, opinions, and kindness. They teach me to rise above the news I hear each day. Take note and do not stop dreaming. I always like to give a nod to those who greatly influenced my learning path about France. Crystal Kenny and her podcast, La Vie Creative, Claudine Hemingway, and she has a new podcast, uh, Blue Blonde Rouge. Christina Consolet, who has an amazing blog about Paris, Parisian Niche, and Lily Heisey, I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. Lily Heisey, author of Love and Paris newsletter and other books. As always, I am inspired by all of you. Janis Commentz.